This is the writing workshop video lesson called Taking Stock, Writers Pause to Assess and Set Goals. And a few things you're going to need to get started for today's lesson. The first thing on our list is a grade 5-6 narrative writing checklist that was passed out in class that looks like this. You're going to need Stand Up and Watch the Show mentor text, also passed out in class. You're definitely going to want highlighter and pencil, and then of course your headphones, Chromebook, and your writer's notebook as well. Writers, you know that our most important goal this year has to become better writers. I think all you really need to do is flip back into your personal narratives in your writer's notebook. Look at your most recent one, and then look at one that you've done the beginning of the year, and you can tell that your hard work is paying off. Go ahead and pause the video and do that. Look at your beginning of the year writing and your writing now, hoping to see some growth. Getting better at writing might feel mysterious and magical, but I want you to know that there is a tried and true method to make sure you improve. It's the same trick that works for all athletes and artists and people we admire in the world. The trick is to set these super high goals of yourself, and then what do those athletes and artists do? They work like crazy to achieve them. By deciding on specific ways that you can improve the craft in your writing, you can then concentrate on setting goals and working toward them, in the end knowing that hard work is going to pay off. Today I want to teach you how helpful it is to pause at times and reflect on the progress you've made as writers. You can use a checklist to guide you as you look back at your writing and ask, in what ways am I getting better? What is the next thing I can work on improving? And over the past few days, some of you have brought your writing to me and you've kind of asked the same question, like, how am I doing? How is this? Is this good for 6th grade writing? And I think it's wonderful that you're asking these questions, but I want to give you the tools that will help you answer these questions yourself. There are 2 tools in particular that I know you will find useful today. One is an example of a really strong 6th grader's personal narrative to help you see what you should be aiming for. And the other is a checklist to help you measure your own writing progress. I actually have 2 checklists when we look here. And I'm actually going to swap that one out and show you this version right here. And as you look at these 2 checklists, it shows what a writer should be able to do at the end of each grade level. So at the end of 5th grade, a writer should be able to do these things. At the end of 6th grade, a writer should be able to do these things. Your writing is already more powerful than when you entered our classroom back in September. So I think many of you are quite ready to reach toward the expectations at the end of the year 6th grade. Some of you will soon exceed those 6th grade goals, and you'll start working on 7th grade goals as you write. So I know we're going to be eager to use these checklists as a way to measure one of our own personal narratives. But first, let's look at a personal narrative another 6th grade student has written. This one's going to be where we're going to look at Stand Up and Watch the Show. Look Up and Watch the Show. You should know that many teachers work together to decide that Look Up and Watch the Show is a very good example of what most 6th graders should be able to write as an on-demand by the end of 6th grade. Of course, I know that you'll study Look Up and Watch the Show and think to yourself that you're already working really hard right now at the beginning of 6th grade to write this powerfully. For today, we're going to look at just 2 categories on the checklist that we have in front of us. So if I go back to this checklist, there's all these categories down the side here. And these are categories that you will be assessed on in your writing. If you flip it over on the back, there's more. The 2 we're going to focus on today are elaboration and craft. So I'm going to highlight those 2, and you're welcome to do the same. And I know for elaboration and craft, as a 6th grader, I developed realistic characters, developed the details, action, dialogue, and internal thinking that contribute to the deeper meaning of the story. We're going to look at that internal thinking today for sure. And then I love that deeper meaning. Let's highlight that as well. For craft, we're looking at relationships between characters to show why they act the way they do, telling the internal as well as the external story. Using descriptors, and so that's when we use some figurative language in our writing, using some symbolism to help readers picture the setting and actions. A lot of symbolism that we see when we read Fish in a Tree, when maybe, say, Albert is talking about his connection with Flint, that character from Star Wars. That's symbolism that the writer is putting in for the reading. and using language that fits the story's meaning. So, you know, different kind of characters. Not using different kinds of language in the sense like you're speaking different languages, but different language in the sense that you can get to know their personalities a little bit better by the things that they say.